Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Brands Hatch. Any excuse to be here is a good excuse, and I thought today, why not? We're going to bring out something very special. Carl's been in the garage for a little while.
It's the Skyline, baby.
I'm here again with the awesome guys at Brundle Motorsport, although Alex himself is out swanning around in Barcelona in some, is it Formula One series? I haven't really heard of it. But whilst he's doing that, we're here in this. Yeah, we're back in the Mustang. Last time we drove this thing, had an awesome result at the Silverstone Festival, finishing P3 overall, and that's the fastest Mustang. Today though, very stiff competition. We're here as part of the Masters Historic Festival in the pre-66 touring cars, and we have some ridiculous people in our race. Now our teammate for today is, for me this is very surreal. I used to watch this guy race growing up in arguably the greatest era of touring car racing ever, the Super Tourers. It is the one, the only, Matt Neal.
How cool is this?
And of course, the knowledgeable among you might be thinking, Jimmy, you are not a tall man, which is correct. Luckily, the seat is now on a slider, meaning that all 6'6" of Matt can get in, and all mighty 5'8" of me can also fit in the car. Ideal.
They used to say you've got to learn the circuit within 7 laps.
7.
Yeah, which is hard when you've never seen the place before. Now, rather than use a sim, I watch a YouTube video because you can see roughly what they're doing, what gears they're in, lines, the corner speed they're carrying, so you can get a rough idea of it.
So I guess the real question for me, because you've raced at Nürburgring, which is big and scary, not so many of corners. How the hell did you learn that? Because I wouldn't have been able to do it without a sim.
Well, that I learned before YouTubes and everything. And you just go. We used to go for an intensive 3-day course.
Yeah.
And you just go round and round and round and round and round and follow people, and then they teach you, which is good actually, because they teach you the different types of asphalt.
Yeah.
Because there are 11 different types of asphalt, or there were 11 different types of asphalt which give it different levels of grip in the dry and the wet, and then it's so many points of the ring look exactly the same. But some are followed by a 5th gear flat out, and some are followed by a hairpin. So you've got to sort of piece them together, or a left or a right. And that's the challenge.
Would you ever go back out there?
I think I would, but when I did it, you could get in quite easily. Now it's pretty tough. You've got to do the VLN series and get your ring license. And so would I want to do all that again? The 24 hours a bit of a. I did it twice and I really enjoyed it. Didn't finish either. Yeah, the second time was in the R34 Skyline.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. Proper old school racing.
And speaking of old school racing, it's time for qualifying. Now, I have never, ever driven the Brands Hatch GP before. Yeah, it was my job to get out there and try and get us a qualifying lap as soon as possible. So first of all, into Paddock Hill Bend, into 3rd gear, clear out the pit lane, luckily though, far enough ahead not to be a problem. Roll back onto the throttle and aim for the exit. Try not to go onto the green stuff, that's automatic track limits. Up to Druids, so we're going to go down to 2nd gear, heel and toe on the way through. Let the car roll through the corner, a bit of throttle to keep it nice and steady through there. And on the gas, hard, up to 3rd. Coming down to Graham Hill, this little left-hander. Get nice, he's at the car, just come round on the throttle. And now we are going to get ready for Surtees. This left-hander coming up. Really tricky. This is where my knowledge of Brands Hatch goes away. This is GP circuit now. Kind of like Apex, sort of understeering the way in, but allowing myself to get on the throttle nice and early on exit. And now we get to let this thing just run free on the way down to Pilgrim's Drop. About 130 mile an hour nearly down here in this, in the car from 1965. So braking just before the free marker, down a 3rd for Hawthorne's corner. Get to the inside, try and hook the curb. Pulls the car around, a little bit of oversteer on exit. And now we get into the back end of the GP circuit here, juddering as I lock the rear brakes, using a bit of curb on the inside, just trying to hang the thing out here, up to 4th gear for traction and for torque. Then we come to Sheen curve, down to 3rd gear again, try and just again avoid the green stuff on the inside, use the curb. Nice and sideways, holding the slide there before getting ourselves nice and slowed down, neat and tidy for this last left-hander, run to the curb. Up to 4th gear before we get up to the last corner, clearways. We're going to brake just under the bridge Again, to third gear, get to the inside, it's a cambered corner, roll back onto the throttle pedal, just about getting neat and tidy. Then we're going to come down to the bottom here for the shortest possible line to the start-finish line. At the time, this was good enough to put the car up into 4th position, so super happy with that for me. But now it's time to hand over to Matt Neal, who is, as you might know, just ever so slightly taller than I am. Now, I was really looking forward to see what Matt could do in this car in qualifying, but unfortunately, you might be able to hear it. The car developed a misfire which later turned out to be an HG lead and simply just come loose. So our time would not improve and we would finish in P7. Right, okay, so that's qualifying done. P7 doesn't sound too great on paper, but I think in the end it was 1.2 off Nigel Greensall, who, if you guys don't know that man, you probably don't really. He's not really a famous driver, but one of the quickest drivers I've ever met in my life in anything. So happy with that, and most importantly, like only a couple of attempts of current BTCC drivers. So yeah, really happy with that. And now we've got to wait literally like 6-7 hours for the race. Also, how cool is the actual full GP circuit? My God, like, and in this car as well, you're constantly sliding, constantly moving the car around. Feels awesome. A little bit intimidating, especially when like you're going down a Hawthorns at 1,000,000 miles an hour and thinking, oh God, am I going to stop? And you do, it's perfect. But yeah, super happy with that. To be there or thereabouts in a grid of some really, really fast drivers, it's nice for the old self-confidence. So we've been waiting around all day. There's been some awesome stuff on circuit, old F1 cars, old style GT3 cars, lots of very cool stuff to keep us busy in our massive wait. I'm going to be starting the race. I said I'll do it. I've never started one of these races before. Don't really know what to expect. It tends to be something that's reserved for sort of like the pro driver, so I'm going to be probably up against all the really fast guys. Hopefully not go backwards too much. It's okay. But no, it's an hour race, so I'll be doing half the race, Matt will be doing half the race. Simple as that, really. But we are starting next to a very, very fast Cortina. The Cortina's super quick in the corners, slow on the straights, basically the opposite of this.
Hey.
So I think we have something like a 250 horsepower advantage in this over the Cortinas, but they can dance around in the bend. So if I get overtaken, I need to get by it as soon as possible and just try and pull away. I cannot afford to be stuck behind one of those guys. But I guess we'll see, won't we? Of course, the day wouldn't be complete without my co-driver. It's Mr.
It's the big Matt Neal.
How did you end up doing this, Matt? Because I think Alex contacted me and was like, oh yeah, come do this race, and then I heard you were doing it with me.
I had a little bit of a similar conversation with him, and he said, do you want a possibility of driving with the legend Jimmy Broadbent? And I said, how can anyone pass that up? So yeah, no, I've driven a Mustang before, only around Goodwood really, so they're quite an animal. Jimmy manages it very well, makes it look very easy, must be all that practice he gets. But no, so we're here, I'm here with Jimmy. We've done qualifying, I think we're starting P8, P7, P8, and Jimmy's going to start. First start today, and then I'm going to try and take over and try and keep us in one piece.
Any tips for a race starting classics? My first time doing it.
Race start, I think if you can drive a sim, you can drive classics. Just trying to stay out of trouble. There's a lot of moving metal work around the first few turns. The cars move around a hell of a lot around here. On the tyres, we've got a cross-ply Dunlop historic tyre, and they're not made for the champion, the level of the grip they have. So Jimmy will have his work cut out, getting the power to the floor. The wheels spin a lot of sliding, a lot of opposite lock on that opening few laps. But yeah, stay out of trouble. Just try and bit of left foot brake on the start, keep the revs up, keep the engine singing, and then go from there.
There you go.
How can we lose? So speaking of race start, here it is, and immediately we managed to jump the red Mustang to our left, so up into P6 before even getting down towards T1. Here is T1, Paddock Hill Bent. Really nice and chill through here. I'm not quite sure how much grip I have or haven't got at this point, so just feeling it out. As we go up towards Druids, the white Mustang there, slow on the entry, so I just roll the car up the inside. Nice little Brundle Motorsport Mustang size gap for me. Up into 5th place we go, and yeah, nice start, nice and calm. So it's my first time doing one of these starts, so I'm just trying to keep myself nice and calm, nice and chilled out. I'm just focusing on nailing my marks. We come up now to 13, since the yellow car goes for the dive up the inside on the black Mustang. And at this point I realise, okay, maybe it's a little bit slow. Try and second gear there for a better exit, but unfortunately just spun the wheels instead. As we all now hoard our way down towards Hawthorns. And look at this. It felt so much closer in car. You've got so much car in front of you in this Mustang, that long bonnet in front of you. Into Hawthorns Bend there. The blue Mustang on the left-hand side. The John Spears Nigel Greensill car losing a few places. Started in pole position, now down to third, battling for fourth with this Jack Ruddle car in front of us. For the back end of the circuit now, getting pushed along by that red Mustang, because you can't really go anywhere here if someone's slow in front of you. You have to just kind of wait for them to try and spy a gap. Through Sheen curve then, car in front gets all kinds of sideways. I look for a gap here. They defend on the inside. That allows the red car to go round to the outside, but I've got the corner here. I just take the apex as mine. Thank you very much. And now we come down towards Clearways, finishing off this first lap. Down to third gear. Nice and easy. Car in front again, a little bit slow off the corner, sideways off there. Think about maybe getting closer. And at the moment, the guy in front is putting his hand up and saying, let's work together, let's push on forward. But I have no intention of that. Dive up the inside from a long way back, down a third. Up the inside into P4, but a little bit too enthusiastic on the throttle and exit. Just get it sideways, lose it, touch the gravel and exit. And that allows this red Mustang through. So really, we don't gain any position. But it's exciting. Nonetheless, black car now trying to come back at us on the inside. Lucky to hold him off, and there we are now in a net 5th position. Man, rowdy start to this race. You wouldn't really believe these cars are from the 60s where they're driving, but things get a bit more rowdy on the next lap. Look in front, red car challenging the John Spears blue Mustang, and then tags him in the T1, locks up all four wheels, trying to stop the thing. I thread the needle, get through, luckily avoid any sort of contact up into P4 there. But that will give the red car in front a 5-second penalty. Then next lap, this guy's he's out for blood, I swear. Watch this as we come up towards Druids. We're still in P4. Yellow car comes across the defend. Red car just drives into him. Basically, drives him off the circuit. Man, these guys aren't racing like they're racing classics, I'll tell you that now. But great fun just to watch them, be an audience to that. But of course, I want to try and move forward. I'm now aware we're only one place away from that podium position. So here we are, coming through the second to last corner, the last corner, a little bit of oil down as well to confound things. And now, okay, I've got to run. I'm going to go to the inside here. He decides to come across quite late. So I then go back to the outside, try and do the old switcheroo. He's oversped there into Paddock Hill. It's a nice chance to at least try and get alongside from Druids. I brake quite late here, but he brakes at the same point as me, so he completely misses the corner. I run up the inside, thank you very much. He tries to come back at me in the mirror there, but we just sit on the apex, nowhere to go. Up into third position, podium place for 7th on the grid. Really happy with that now, but check this out. See that little line there on the road? That is oil. And trying to avoid it best I can into Sheen. I just touch a little bit on the outside. Oh my God. Came very close there to putting the Mustang in the gravel, but luckily we survived and stayed in P3 for now. But my word, that was so spooky. Now, something else in this race, as the race continued, we stay in P3. Unfortunately, the cars in front just putting a bit of a gap on me, really, and the cars behind falling back. So we're in a bit of no man's land at the moment. Here is lap traffic, and he's getting blue flags from here. Decides to not listen to them. Blue flags a lot more sort of strict in this series. I think, okay, I'll go up the inside here. And nope, he stays there. In hindsight, maybe I should have gone to the outside to make that move, but it would have been quite easy just to get out of the way. But that cost me quite a lot of time, as you can see. Small frustration in the cockpit, but to be honest, I don't think I had the pace for these guys anyway. And just like that, half hour was gone. P3. Let's see if Matt can take it to the flag.
It's pulling to the left on the brakes quite a bit. Okay. And there's a bit of oil down at Sheen.
So because of our elite driver penalty we got, because we had Matt Neal driving with us, we were now down in 5th position. And it was up to Matt to try and claw back some of that time, but he had a challenge in front of him, which was an absolute gaggle of lapped traffic. The car as well, over the course of the race, the brakes start to go away from you. They have rear drum brakes, and they just get hotter and hotter and hotter until you almost have no brake pedal left. So Matt was really having to contend with that, as well as trying to wrestle his way past our good friend in this big long boy here. The cars in front were fairly spread out, but then this happened. which caused a safety car and brought everyone back together once again. So race restart, we are currently in P5, but keep in mind that red car from earlier on does have a 5-second penalty, so if Matt can get close enough to the red car, there's P4 there, and if he can get by the car in front, that's P3, which is where we are aiming for. So Matt now trying to find his way past that traffic. Classic Mini versus Mustang situation. The Mini's so much faster in the corners and on the initial acceleration zone, but of course lack about 300 horsepower compared to these mighty V8 monsters. So cool to see all these cars squabbling together on circuit at once. But of course, if you're Matt, you're thinking, get out of my way. Same with this Cortina in front, a bit lighter than us, a lot easier to handle in the corners, but just not quite as fast on the straights. Coming through Sheen curve there. A little bit of contact almost to the Mini in the mirror there. Now here's the difference with the Cortina and the V8. See you later, mate. So now the cars in front of us, both for position. So close, the podium almost within sight. Towards Hawthorns again. Matt, so neat and tidy, so interesting seeing his driving style compared to the franticness of mine. Coming to the back half of the circuit, and off in front goes the white Mustang, locks the wheel into the gravel, causes yet another safety car. We go back up into P4. So last lap then, Matt coming to the checkered flag. Has he done enough to get P3? No, by 0.3 of a second. We lose out to the red Mustang with a penalty and finish in P4. Not bad, but so close to that podium. I have to say, man, what an amazing experience this was. Not only did I get to get behind the wheel of the Mustang yet again, I got to do it alongside a childhood racing icon. A massive thank you to Brundle Motorsport again for trusting me enough to look after their car. And if you guys are interested in seeing this full race unedited without yapping over the top of it, there'll be a link down below in the description to my second channel with the whole race uncut. Take care, have an awesome day. See you next time.